If you've ever thought, I want to feel more at ease with sales, this episode with sales coach and trainer Justine Beauregard is exactly what you need to hear. Imagine connecting with your clients one-on-one and seeing their reactions when they truly understand what you're offering and how it benefits them. I loved this conversation with Justine, and I'm excited to share it with you. Join me in learning about how Justine has grown her own business and helped other business owners grow theirs simply by viewing sales with a fresh perspective and feeling confident in what your business offers. Let's dive into this conversation together and take that next step. Hi, friend. I'm Kendra Losee, and this is the Invisible to Invincible podcast. I've built my career helping businesses and their owners go from hidden gems to in demand by mastering the art of showing up confidently and strategically. Each episode, we dive into the mental shifts, visibility strategies, and confidence boosters that can help you show up with purpose and impact. Hit subscribe and let's get started. Justine, thanks for being here today. I really appreciate you coming back on the podcast to share your insights. How's everything going with you in the past year since we talked last?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me back. It's so great to be here. I love your podcast. I love you. I think you're incredible. And the work that you're doing in the world is so important. So I'm grateful to be on the show again. So much has changed in the past year. I think that's life, right? We go through ebbs and flows in different seasons of life. I took the summer off. That was really wild because I've had my business for 10 years and in that time, I had a second child and didn't even take time for maternity leave. I took a day off and I got right back into work. A lot of people hear that and go, whoa, that's crazy. But truthfully, I love what I do. And it's not hard for me. It doesn't feel like work. Answering questions and responding to emails and doing different things. If I didn't have that, my life would be a lot different and I get stir crazy. So it was okay that I never took real vacations or breaks from my work. But taking the summer off, I told people it took me about 6 weeks to unwind. And I think that's natural. But what it also gave me was a lot of time to self-reflect and a lot of perspective on what I wanted and what I cared about and what was important to me. And I often talk about this concept of vacation mode, right? Like when we're going on vacation, there's this really interesting phenomenon where we become hyper productive because we have to do all the things and prepare and get all of this stuff done in a short amount of time. And it's Parkinson's law. We fit the time that we're given. So when we create assets, we take time doing it. It takes longer. People were like, I didn't even know that you took summer off because I created hundreds of posts pre-scheduled. I found new processes to get content created a lot faster. I pre-recorded 14 episodes of my podcast, People Over Profit, to go out. So I never did miss a beat. Everything was scheduled. But what I noticed was that my perspective on my work and the things that I thought were important to me that maybe weren't as important shifted. Now my business has been shifting. The types of offers I've created have shifted. There's a lot that's different from when we first met. I'm excited to see how things continue to unfold.
That is a huge change. Just being able to set your business up and have the confidence that it can run while you take time off. A lot of people are going to want to know exactly how you did. You've done so much work to set yourself up that way that it's really fascinating to dive into. And then the other thing I was going to say is when you talk about vacation mode, and this is the second time I think this week Parkinson's law has come up in conversation, which is a fascinating thing. But it's also that vacation mode and giving yourself that time for self-reflection. Personally, I've been laid off 6 times, and every single time I've ended up in a better place because it forced that self-reflection on me. In my past, I would approach my jobs and my career as a sprint because I always knew, given the types of companies I worked for, that something would happen after the first one. I'd get laid off or they'd go out of business or something would happen. When you switch your thinking and look at it more like a marathon, you need to take that time to make sure you're healthy through the whole thing, to keep that energy where you need it to be. I want to go back to something you mentioned. You put all those pieces in place and had the confidence to do so. Was there one specific thing that went through your head when you decided to do that? Or were you able to step into it knowing you could put the pieces in place and take that time and reflect and decompress and do the things you needed to do?
Oh, I think it's a mix. There's a part of me, I've been working a lot on my own self-belief.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always said this about myself. What other people do in 6 months, I do in 6 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really good at a lot of things. I'm really good at scheduling. I'm really good at being creative. I'm really good at seeking solutions. So when I knew I'm going to take this time off, there was zero doubt within me that I could pre-plan and schedule all the things and have it look like I wouldn't miss a beat. But where I lacked the self-belief and self-confidence was in, could I actually honor the commitment to myself to step away and have my boundaries intact for that whole period of time? When I say I took summer off, I served clients
Right.
here and there.
Right.
I worked a little bit behind the scenes, less than 5 hours a week, which to me is a wild transition from working full weeks to working an hour a day at most, sometimes not at all during the days. It was that realization of, I can still work. I don't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be these extremes. There is a sense of innate confidence and self-belief that I can do all the things I want to do, honor my boundaries, deliver, and bring in income. What's hard about that is finding the balance that makes you feel like you truly have honored that commitment to yourself. I think a lot of confidence is built from trust that it's all going to work out. The first time you got laid off, I'm sure you were like, crap, I don't know how my life is going to go now. This is hard. And then the second time it happened, you were like, ugh, again? Come on, this is killing me. By the fourth or fifth time, you're like, I know exactly what to do. I trust myself. This always works out. Like you said, the universe gave me something. I accepted it. I ended up better than I was the last time. You need to prove these things to yourself over and over to build that level of trust. I'm confident it's all going to work out. The confidence is built a little from our experience and a lot from the self-trust that we curate over the years.
By the fourth time, I think I was helping the person who was trying to lay me off because she was so upset she had to do it. I was like, no, it's okay. This is what we're going to do. You give me that paperwork. And she was like crying.
You're like, I know all about this process.
No, it's fine. It'll be fine. I'll be fine. Don't worry about it. You mentioned self-belief, and I really want to dive into this idea of confidence because both of us do this in different ways with people. I think that it's really, I've seen this a lot with clients, is that our brains like patterns. So yes. You can either look at, okay, I'm going to use me as an example here. I've been laid off 6 times. So that means there's no point in me getting a job or doing something because it's just going to end in failure because all the rest. You could look at it like that. Or you could look at it as, I've taken a lot of risks and I've chosen the companies and places I work for very specifically for something that I wanted to learn. I knew I could help and gain all these experiences that I wanted. If it works out, great. And if not, I'll be okay. There's 2 very different ways that your brain can find those patterns. And so I think when you look at your priorities and your self-beliefs and the things that you do, it's finding those areas where you can prove yourself right. But I see people trying to prove themselves right in the worst possible ways. If we're going to focus on proving ourselves right in the ways where we can be right in a way that's going to empower us, make us stronger and more confident, and build that habit of confidence, there's a lot of different ways that we can do this. And I know you do this extremely well with your clients for sales. Can you talk a little bit about how you help your clients from that perspective?
Yeah, I think when it comes to sales confidence, first of all, you need to know your baseline. Mm-hmm. You need to understand where you're at so that you know how to improve and where the gaps are. A lot of times we'll be like, I'm just not good at sales. Okay, but why? How bad at sales really are you? A lot of people who say they're bad at sales have a lot of sales. And I'm like, okay, but you've kind of proven yourself wrong already, right? I talked to someone the other day who has a $200,000 a year business, and she's like, I'm just not great at sales. I'm like, really? Because you're doing a lot better than most of the people I meet. And the story she's telling herself is that those kind of just fell into my lap. I just kind of got lucky. I have a great network, a lot of external giving the power to things that we don't control. But ultimately, the reason you have a great network is because you cultivated your network and you intentionally surrounded yourself with people and built relationships that contributed to your network supporting you, right? It's recognizing those things. Finding your baseline is important, but then a lot of sales confidence stems from the offer itself, the offer that you're making. So the example I give a lot is I want you to imagine that your offer is the cure for cancer. Let's say it's some revolutionary chemotherapy drug. If you're meeting people who are ill and you have the cure to save their life, your confidence skyrockets when you believe that is true, because there's no world in which you're not going to walk up to someone and go, I can save your life today. Like, are you okay? Can I help you? I've got something that I think is going to be life-giving. It's our responsibility as humans to protect each other and to create safety in our peer groups. When we have something that we feel like I can't possibly keep this to myself, your confidence will naturally go through the roof because you will not be able to keep it to yourself. When you have some doubt or you have some thought that I might be priced too high, I might be priced too low, I don't know if it's too long or too short of a fulfillment time, I don't know if people really want it. All of these questions, all of these doubts and fears, those become weights on the confidence. So we might have started, a lot of us start at a 10 out of 10. We create our business in this honeymoon incubator where we're just like, everything is magical, I have the best offer since sliced bread. And then all those little doubts and fears are anchors pulling our score down. We go from a 10 out of 10 in the first day of creation to, but what if this? And I'm not sure about that. All of those questions are weights, and it's going down and down until we're like a 2 out of 10 on the scale. We try to show up and we need to be at a 10 out of 10 is what we tell ourselves. But truthfully, we could be at a 5 out of 10 and still sell the crap out of that offer. To make it easier, we need to create an offer that makes us feel better and also work on having the right mindset about the places we show up, the people we talk to, and surrounding ourselves with people who are going to be like, when you talk about your offer, and I'm like, Kendra, that offer is so good. It's so important. Everybody needs it. And you're hearing that all day long. You're like, okay, well, Justine thinks it's great, so I better show up and sell the crap out of it because clearly there's a need versus sitting in your own silo. And this is what we do a lot as entrepreneurs. We sit in our own little silo. We're by ourselves with our thoughts and tell ourselves the meanest thoughts. All we hear all day is how we're not enough. Everything sucks and it's hard and we can't do it. And there's so many problems. And then we try to get out into the world and sell it. And it's impossible to overcome all those barriers. So I think in order to boost our self-confidence, knowing our baseline and getting curious about how to improve it, having an offer that's exceptional so that we can show up with full integrity of really believing in the value so that it's easier for us to sell, and surrounding ourselves with cheerleaders and people who believe in us and customers who rave about it so that we're not just hearing the negative. It's balanced out with the positive and the joyful and those beautiful thoughts and confirmations that we're on the right track and that we have something truly amazing.
You said that so well. I think that the other thing I see a lot of people doing is sitting there scrolling and looking at videos and people online, and they're like, oh, well, I'm not that. I'm never going to be young. I'm never going to dance that way. I'm never going to do that. They forget a couple of things. One, they forget that no one starts out that way, right? You're looking at someone's 200th video, not their first video.
Yeah.
Two, the things that you're upset about in your head are just you. right? I was at a networking event yesterday in person, and this gentleman went on stage and presented. He had a sponsorship slot, and he just went and presented and told the story and left. I was talking to him later, and he was like, I really need to talk to you if you're doing confidence and camera confidence and that kind of thing, because I was so nervous and I did so terribly today. Like, were you at the same event I was? Because I thought you were great. I don't understand what you're talking about. He's like, I've been running every day because I have this big event, and I saw myself from the side when I presented last year. He had this whole list of things he was worried about. None of them had even gone through anyone in the audience's mind. I guarantee it. He had captivated everyone with a story. He was forgetting that because he's heard it before, none of the rest of us have. He was so hard on himself. Like, why are you telling yourself these stories? Why is that the thing you're choosing to tell yourself?
When you said people think I'm never going to be that young, or I'm never going to be able to dance like that, our default is to pick apart who we are. And we know our biggest weaknesses and flaws. We're closer to ourselves than anyone else, right? I've trained myself to question, what do I have? And so a really good question to ask yourself is, so what? I'm never going to be that young again. So what? What are you willing to do? What do you have? What is the benefit of being older, wiser, having more experience, whatever that is, right? But more importantly, it's also asking, if this is your circumstance and you can't change it, it's never going to change. What are you going to do about it? Because I hear so many people say that they just can't, or they just don't, or they just whatever.
Out of my control.
So let's just say this happened a lot during COVID. People were like, the economy's bad. Nobody's buying discretionary items. Nobody wants, I'll just say a random thing. Nobody wants to get their hair done during the recession because they're not seeing anybody and they don't want to spend the extra money. It's like, okay, so what if nobody wants to get their hair done until the end of time? What are you going to do? You have to take it from where you are to problem solve and figure out, what are my options? Because if you can figure it out in the worst case scenario in your mind at that moment, then you can make it work in any scenario. So if you were that hairdresser and you just said nobody wants to get their hair done, and you asked yourself the question, if that was how it's going to be until the end of time, what would I do? Your first response is, I would find a different skill set. I wouldn't want to be a hairdresser. Maybe you've been in the wrong position this whole time. You're not willing to fight for it. To your point of getting laid off, you were like, okay, on to the next job. Like, I'm still going to do the work. I'm still going to show up. You resolved yourself to something, and then you did it. If your inclination is, well, I would change the positioning of getting your hair done to make people want it. You go down this web of curiosity and find solutions for yourself instead of, oh, poor me, or the thought that it's just never going to work. If you believe it's never going to work, if you're someone who believes, you know what, Kendra, everything you're saying sounds great. I love the idea that you're going to build confidence in people, but I just am never going to be confident on camera. It's just never going to work. I'm never going to be able to use video for my brand. You're not going to be able to help them, and they're never going to get the benefit of being on camera because they've already told themselves that it's just not going to work. First, we have to figure out what we want to attach ourselves to in terms of a belief. If you really believe that video is the way to grow your brand, then you have to figure this out. You have to be willing to do the work, whatever that work is, to get to the point where you can be confident and show up for yourself. Even for that speaker you were talking about, he proved to himself that he could do it, because even if he had self-conscious thoughts, he still got up on the stage and spoke.
Yep. He even had several like, oh, it was the last minute. Oh, I wasn't quite prepared. Like, oh, it was luck. Stop it. You spent time. You figured out how to do this and you did a great job. It's always fascinating to me. And we all have these moments, right? So many people are willing to be the first person to tell themselves no. If you're not going to cheerlead for yourself, if you're not going to get that confidence to make sales, to show up for your customers, to use that life-saving example you use to show up with a way to cure cancer. And you're going to keep it to yourself because you're afraid. You're letting everything just happen to you. And you're being the first one to tell yourself no. What if it doesn't work the way it's supposed to? What if this one thing doesn't do what it's supposed to do and it doesn't help every single 100% of the time person? What if they don't like me? What if everyone in the world doesn't like me when I show up? What if I try to sell this and someone says no? So I'm going to start by assuming they're going to say no. I'm going to start by believing I can't do sales. So therefore I won't be able to. And look, I proved myself right. Cool.
I think it's so important for people to remind themselves of why they're here and what they want. Like, why are you here? When I meet people who say, I just don't like sales, I'm like, well, then I guess you don't like having your business. Because if you don't like selling, if you can't find a way to enjoy the sales process and do it authentically and in a way that feels natural to you, you will always have trouble selling, and you will eventually burn out or be resentful of your business or not get it to a place where it deserves to be. You have to want it more than you want to accept the negative stories that you're telling yourself. You have to fight for it. I love sales. I love being sold to. I love selling to people. I love being in the world of sales, all of it. There are certain days where I wake up and I go, I don't want to talk to anybody today. I don't feel like selling. I don't want to do that. I have to want it more than I want to feed my ego.
Yep.
More than I want to focus on other things. Some days, because I want it, I also have to give myself the break when I recognize today's a day where I don't want to be selling, where I don't want to show up in that way. I don't feel like the energy is quite right. And honoring that side too. We don't have to be on all the time. If we embrace video, we don't have to be on camera every single day of our lives. Sometimes we need to take a step away. Sometimes we need to rest. Sometimes we need to ask for help. Sometimes it can't be us. And all of that is okay. But I think ultimately, if that's the strategy you're choosing, and if that's the thing you're wanting, you have to make it about more than you. It's bigger than you. I'm not selling in my company because I want to make $1. I'm selling in my company because I'm on a mission to help people find ways to express themselves and communicate the value of something they've painstakingly worked to create so that they can change the world around them. This is bigger than me and you. This is bigger than creating a video for TikTok, right? You're in this role because you're helping people be better people. By being confident, we learn how to love ourselves. We learn how to see beyond our flaws. And it doesn't mean always embracing the flaws. Sometimes it just means focusing our attention elsewhere. The skills we're looking to build indirectly make us better people for a variety of reasons. When we become great at sales, we become amazing romantic partners because we're able to be empathetic, actively listen, be fully present, and understand people's needs. We're able to have difficult conversations and lean into vulnerability and honor our boundaries. Like, there's so many beautiful skills about sales that have nothing to do with closing the deal or making money. At the same time, we need to make lots of money in our business and not shy away from that, because when we do that, more money in the hands of good people does good in the world. And when we truly are a good person, money is going to amplify that and make the world a better place. So yeah, it's about you, but it's also a lot more about everything around you, other people, something of a movement. You created your business because you wanted to change something. You wanted to improve something. We wanted to grow as people. This is the work.
That was beautiful. Thank you. And it's so true. Whenever someone says, oh, I don't want to show up on video, or I can't do that, or I hear this a lot too. I used to be guilty of this when I was working for corporations. I'm in marketing. I don't do sales. It's an identity thing, right? I'm a hairdresser. I don't do sales. I'm not a salesperson. Why are we limiting ourselves by the words we're choosing to call ourselves? What's that identity really do for you? If I say and believe, because I've always been a marketer, that is all I am, is a marketer, well, then what fun is that? You're a business owner, you're this person and that person, and you have all these things. And the second part of that is, why are you keeping it all to yourself? If you're trying to build a business and you started your business in that honeymoon stage because you can do X, you're the best person in the world that can help cure cancer, you're the best person in the world to give haircuts to specific type of people, or, whatever their desire is. Why are you keeping it to yourself? When did you decide that it's about you, not them?
Everyone in every company is more than one role. We all need to be incredible customer service people. We all need to be incredible marketers of the brand. We all need to be great salespeople. We all need to be wonderful at human resources. We all need to be those things in a certain capacity, right? And learning how to embrace those sides of ourselves is really important to make us well-rounded, valuable, and invaluable as employees or as CEOs or founders or whatever role or title that you hold. And it's funny, I describe sales as not convincing people who need what you sell, but finding the people who are already convinced they want it. Mm-hmm. When I think about someone coming up to you and saying, I don't want to show up on video, or like, I don't think I need to show up on video, the thought is always, in my world, how I would respond to that from a sales perspective is to say something like, okay, great. How are you going to demand the attention of the people that you want to serve? Mm-hmm. If they are like, well, I need to show up on video, then they actually do want to show up on video because they believe that that's the most effective way to communicate their messaging. If they say, I would just start a podcast and do everything audio, great. Then you already have a solution, and I don't even know why we're talking about video, because that's not for you. It's so important to recognize and list out those alternatives. Otherwise, if you say I have a business, but I'm not great at sales, okay, great. How are you going to increase the revenue of your company year over year if you're not the one selling? And they say, oh, well, I just outsourced to so-and-so. I have a great business development person that I'm connected to who's going to do all of the sales for me. Fantastic. You don't need to learn sales. Yep. But if you go, well, geez, I don't know, you've got a problem. Because if you don't know how you're going to grow, then your company is going to die. Because without sales, your company is not a company at all. And so just questioning things, just being curious is such an invaluable skill.
It really is. It really is. And I think that you've said so many amazing insights here. As far as, there's so many people who just automatically are like, I hate sales. Okay, cool. And I hear it too. I hate marketing. Awesome. How do people find you? How do people know who you are?
Yeah.
What do you tell people?
Why do you hate it?
Hate it. Right. What is it about it that you hate? And what do you think it is? Because if you're telling me about your business, you're already marketing or doing sales, depending on where we fall. And I think that there's so many things that people do automatically that they take for granted. And then they slap a like, oh, well, I hate that. Oh, well, I don't like that. They don't really realize. Accounting's not my favorite thing to do. So I learned it, I know it, and I found someone to help.
I love Simon Sinek, and he has a podcast, A Bit of Optimism. It's a fantastic podcast. One of the episodes recently, he was talking about the oyster principle. Have you heard of this?
No, but I do love him. I've seen him speak. It's great.
So if you walk up to the majority of people and say, do you like oysters? Like, I'll ask you right now, do you like oysters? Mm-mm. Have you ever had an oyster?
Yes.
The majority of people will say no without ever having tried an oyster because they're freaked out about it. They see it and they're like, oh, that looks scary. I don't want to eat that. Or that smells weird. I don't want to digest that. We get it in our head that we don't like something before we even try it. A lot of times I'll meet people and say, let's talk about sales. And they go, oh, I hate sales. When's the last time you sold something? Oh, I don't sell. How do you know you hate it? I've been sold to and it was terrible. Okay. Tell me about that. The last time I bought my car, the guy was really pushy at the dealership and he made me do X, Y, or Z that I didn't like, or I ended up spending more than I wanted to, or I didn't get quite the vehicle that I was looking for, or I felt pushed into it and pressured and I didn't like that. Okay, so do you hate sales or do you just hate that specific sales experience? What if you walked into that dealership and the person gave you an entirely different experience? What if they sat you down with a glass of water and asked you what you were looking for and then matched you to the perfect vehicle and gave you a great discount? Would you like sales then? Like, that's the key. Is sometimes we kind of put a blanket over the thing that we don't like. I don't like seafood. Well, you tried one oyster. You didn't try salmon and cod and this and that and the other thing. Maybe you do like seafood. Maybe you just haven't found the right seafood. Or maybe you've tried salmon, but it was prepared incorrectly or didn't have a glaze you enjoyed and you would have preferred it grilled instead of pan-seared. We need to keep trying different things and expanding our horizons. Video doesn't need to be showing up on camera and speaking into the camera. It can be B-roll. It can be voiceover. It can be production value. There can be so many different aspects. When a lot of people saw TikTok for the first time, their thought was, I don't want to dance. That was the thought that they had. Yep. And it's like, there have been more successful people on TikTok than dancers. And we need to expand our mind on what it could look like for our brands. I'm not a TikTok dancer personality, but I am an educator. And I'm passionate about what I do. I like to get on camera and teach people concepts in short time frames and help them rethink traditional concepts that they might not have thought of in the way that I teach them, flipping perspectives, sharing insights. That's fun for me. If I can create a 30-second video on how to close a sale or overcome a money objection, and that changes someone's perspective on how to deal with a money objection, and then they use that and they go create a sale, even if it impacts one person instead of 100,000 people, that is incredible value. That shows that what I'm sharing has worth and that people are absorbing it. Seeing someone do a video or share or publish a piece of video content that one person at least did not watch or consume. You put it out into the world, there are billions of daily active users on social media. If you create a video and you think, oh, I'm resentful because I just spent 3 hours producing this video that I felt so strongly about and only 10 people watched it, you might have just changed 10 people's lives. You might have made an impact in the first 5 seconds, or you might have not impacted them directly, but you might learn something from having posted that video and your life is effectively changed. There's so many layers of value that comes from just putting ourselves out there in different ways, building skills and challenging us to think differently. All we see is the things from before. What don't I have? What can't I do? Instead of, what did this teach me? What did I learn? Who did this help? What did I create? How did it impact someone? What did I get right? And when we start to think with that lens, we can change our entire experience.
I want to ask you one more question. The first one is along those lines. And I've heard you talk a lot about this, you don't need a big audience. A lot of times people approach social media like, okay, well, I only got 10 views on this, and this person over here has 500,000 views. Can you talk a little bit about the value of one person versus the value of looking at everybody, especially when it comes to social media and sales? A lot of times we're like, okay, well, I need this many students, and look at what Amy Porterfield or this person over here, Marie Full, look at what all these other people are doing, and I only have 10 views. I only have 100 people on my email list because I'm just starting out. Can you give a little bit of your insights around that and that mental approach people have and how to flip that?
First of all, it's so interesting. I hear a lot of people say, I'm new and I only have 100 people on my list. And I'm like, do you know how badly I would have killed to have 100 people on my list? When I started my business, I had 60 followers on Facebook, and 59 of them were my friends and family who didn't care what I was doing at all. They were just trying to support me. Mm-hmm. And I got my first client from a cold call because I literally had nothing foundationally built. I think that and also it was 10 years ago where the internet was very different than it is today.
Right.
And the power of a lot of these platforms and our reach is so much more wide and broad and large scale. We can create so much with so little. And you'd be surprised how many quiet millionaires I meet. People who have like 1,000 followers on Instagram and they're making $1 million a year. And they don't talk about it. They don't boast about it. Some of them even do. What is more important is that we're looking past the people who have opted in for people who haven't yet shown they care. If you think about that, I want to relate it to something really common. If you're having a dinner party and you invited 50 people and 48 of them show up, and you spend the whole night talking about how bummed you are that those 2 other people weren't there, you make those 48 people feel so underappreciated. Your next dinner party will have no people, right? And so we look past those 100 people on our email list like they're not enough. Like they're not worthy of being there, or that we need more to feed our egos, instead of appreciating every single person and really absorbing that energy behind this person sat here and watched my whole video. They found value in it. I wonder what else I could make just for them or with them in mind. We show up inconsistently because we believe that no one's watching our videos, or we feel like only 5 people saw my last video. So what does it matter if I create another one this week or not? And the truth is, it matters a lot, because those 5 people might have a reminder set every single week on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. when you typically go live, who are waiting to be there. And when we have small audiences, that's the most critical time to learn from your audience. The people who are the early adopters, if we're thinking in terms of buying power, we've got the early adopters, we've got the mass adopters, we've got the late adopters. And we're thinking like, I want the mass adoption market to come in here. You don't get that without the early adopters, those people who believe in you fiercely from day one. If you polled them about what they loved and didn't love and the value from that, you could sell them easier. You could retain them longer. You could gather so much valuable insight from them. They would literally tell you what to do to get to mass market quicker if you just valued them and leaned in and asked and listened, versus saying, thanks for your follow, but I'm really here for 1,000 more people. So stay here if you want to, but I'm going to go over here and try to find other people. You're looking past your opportunities. Instead, you have to lean in and accept where you are and what you have. Say, listen, this is where I'm at. Same as before, like I'm never going to be younger. You know what? You never are. You can't be Benjamin Button and reverse your aging process. You are where you are. So what are you going to do about it? You have 1 follower. What are you going to do about it? Don't think about your 1,000 potential ones. Think about the one that's in front of you. I'm going to nurture the hell out of them. I'm going to message them and thank them for being here. I'm going to ask their opinions on things. I'm going to invite them to be in my world more and be around them more, and to show them how much I care about them and not just tell them that they're great. I want to give them an experience that makes them want to come back, because if we think about like pizza shops, and I use this example a lot, we have the best pizza on the planet and it's delicious and we have the signature sauce and we make it in such a way, but we don't have any budget to market our pizza place. We don't have the ability to discount and give coupons right now. There's inevitably, just by building the pizza shop, just by having the social media profile, there's bound to be somebody who's going to stumble into your place of business or stumble across your social media page who is going to sample your product. And you want to make them the most love-filled pizza that tastes the best, because you've worked so hard to create this signature recipe that you're like, please enjoy. And then you ask them, how was your experience today? And what can I do for you? And they come back the next day and they enjoy your pizza again. Eventually they go home and they're like, I had the best pizza today. And then they tell 1 friend and the friend tells 2 friends. That's how we grow a brand. So when we think about this small audience as a detriment, we need to think about it as the key to our growth. Like this first person, if this is how I get every person, how would I treat them? What would be different about their experience? And if we approach it in that way, the momentum we build can come so much quicker and with more joy because we're leaning into who is listening and we're gathering feedback that's positive instead of telling ourselves a negative story, being resentful, feeling not enough, and wondering what else could I be doing because I feel like I'm not doing anything well, when you could be doing a lot of things really well just by leaning into what you actually have.
Thank you. And that is why I invited Justine back. I find myself, we're already in, and this is longer than they normally are. And I'm like, I could still talk to her. I could just keep talking to Justine.
I'm like, what's your other question that you were going to ask?
I was actually going to ask, thank you for that. I was going to actually ask, because you are always just so good with resources, and you already mentioned Simon Sinek's podcast. Do you have any other new favorite resources that you recommend that someone check out?
Well, first of all, social media is a powerful tool. And I think if we can just figure out where our gaps are, because everyone listening is going to have a different gap. So if you're looking to build your confidence on video, then you're going to want to follow Kendra. You're going to want to make sure you're in her world, consuming her content, listening to her podcast. We just need to figure out, I think the best resource I can give to people is the skill of learning how to fill your gaps, which is identifying where are you maybe lacking confidence or not seeing the results that you want, and then coming up with that list and going on to platforms like Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, Google and ChatGPT, and plugging in the question, who is the best resource on this topic? Who's the go-to person? That's why I spend a lot of time really cultivating my brand around being the go-to sales coach and strategist for entrepreneurs who have something that they really care about selling, because I want them to search for that and find me. I want them to come to my page because they're looking for solutions and value, and they're coming there and they're getting it. When people do arrive, I want them to get what they came for. I want to deliver on my promise and be in integrity. And they go and tell people, hey, I just found an incredible resource for sales. When someone's struggling, I want to be top of mind. I want to be the one that they put my name in their mouth in rooms they're in, so that I don't have to do that as much. I don't have to be the one who's always marketing my own business. Other people are doing it for me. And the perfect example of this is, I had a friend the other day who said, I'm friends with this home organization. She's got a community of quite a few people, and she sends out this newsletter to thousands of people every month. And you were the featured podcast and resource she was including. And she's like, do you know her? And I said, I've never heard of this woman in my life. It was so cool. I was like, can you send me that newsletter? That's super cool. And she sent it to me, and I was like, see, this is what I'm trying to create in the world, is that ripple effect of I'm providing value to someone who probably knew someone else who knew this woman. She found my podcast, and now she's sharing it in her newsletter to thousands of people. And I didn't ask her to do that. I don't even know who she is. I mean, when you're thinking about, if, for instance, building confidence is one of those things, don't just think about building confidence in general. Think about where else confidence has a role. Video is something that a lot of people struggle with confidence. Public speaking on stages is a big one for confidence. Even asking for promotions in a corporate setting is a big confidence issue for people, or a sticking point. If you can look up resources for how to build confidence, how to get promoted, how to speak on stages, how to deliver a message with more confidence, different aspects of searching and things outside of the norm, and things that might be, maybe you're not in real estate, but you look up a book for realtors that talks about confidence building, you might learn something different and push yourself and challenge yourself in different ways. I encourage people to think outside the box. A lot of the value I get on topics is from places and spaces that you wouldn't normally think to search for those things. Because I'm always thinking outside of the box and trying to get creative, I'm learning things and adapting it to my brand and my industry that other people wouldn't expect. I've given a lot of examples today from hairstylists and car dealerships and all of these different examples because I listen to a lot of things that make me more well-versed in those topics and have a breadth of knowledge that I can apply. And those stories are what creates, memorability when you share content, because people will remember the hairstylist example or the car dealership example more than they'll remember me talking about some foundational sales framework that you have to memorize, because you're not really here for that, but you are here to learn and to grow. And if I can find some way to relate something to you that you remember, you're more likely to apply it. So if we can start with ourselves, I think we can do a lot better. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek and all of his work, and I'm a big fan of Kendra and this podcast, and I'm a big fan of people like Mel Robbins, who are always looking to grab experts on a variety of topics and teach people how to love themselves and appreciate their innate gifts as people, that I personally love and would recommend.
Thank you for that. And you're absolutely right. When I was working in higher education, they only wanted people with higher ed background. And they didn't want to, I fit all the other boxes. And so they hired me reluctantly, I think. But what ended up happening is the more I studied other industries and brought that to higher ed, the better we did. Because you might think I only need to look at other physical therapists or hairstylists or scientists that cure cancer, whatever that is. That's not true. There's something to learn from so many different places, because you can pick, choose, and then get creative and flip that. Justine, you are such a tremendous wealth of information and so generous with your insights. I really want to thank you for being here. If you're listening, all the links will be below. If you're online, all the links will be below. Justine, just for anyone who's listening, can you please tell them where they can find you?
JustineBeauregard.com, which is JustineBeauregard.com. We'll have all the resources about how to find me, where to connect with me, my story, my offers, all of the good stuff. And you can find me anywhere just by searching Justine Beauregard on Google. I'm going to pop up on Instagram and Facebook, and I make sure that I'm ranking in SEO for my own brand.
Thank you. And for everyone listening, thank you again for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in to the Invisible to Invincible podcast. I hope you're feeling inspired to step into the spotlight and own your unique story. Remember, confidence and visibility are just a few courageous, strategic moves away. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's ready to shine. Until next time, keep showing up and making an impact. It's time to go from invisible to in demand.